So later, oh my God, later, about the beginning of 2017, or no, actually, I think it was the fall of 2016, or somewhere thereabouts. I was confronted by the dragon directly. And at this time I was doing, I forget what I was calling it on my Facebook, but it was, I was directly quoting what they were saying as they were saying it, you know. And I didn't know, but God had left, and the dragon had replaced him and was speaking to me. It was called, what I was doing, I think, was called something form, conversation form. Yes, conversation form. And so I was in my room at my house, and suddenly I started hearing him talking like Darth Vader. And I was just continuing to type it out, conversation form. And when that ended, he breathed fire on me. And I was cast into some kind of hell. I mean, literally, where, first of all, I was unable to move. All I could do was lay in my bed, and just the depths of misery, and the knowledge that it would be for all eternity. And it wasn't like a prison. It was like an underground cavern where there was no light, but that the other openings in the cavern were all open. And these weird, strange caricatures of people from my life were coming in and just tormenting me as I just sat like this. And I couldn't move at all, and all I felt was just this sense of utter despair, utter regret, about my life. And when these strange demons, like these caricatures of people that were almost cartoonish, and all they did was they delighted in tormenting me as I sat there unable to move, in all these different horrible ways. And I couldn't do anything about it. I couldn't do anything about it at all. I couldn't move at all. And I didn't even want to. And all I was like was, oh my God, this is just going to be, this is forever. And then after I was in that state, in that place for 3 days, and on the third day I was just I was just like crying out, and this is 72 hours. And I was just like, oh God, and Jesus, I was saying Jesus over and over again, and just like, why have you left? Because I knew that that's what it was like, just, there was absolutely no kindness left in anyone that was there. There was probably other prisoners that were even sitting right next to me or in the next room, but just wouldn't move. And just all they were crying for was just one single, kindness, or just one of these things to actually be nice, or to have some kind of, just even a single joy or happiness, because there was none. There was none at all. Absolutely none. And just total desolation and the knowledge that it was eternity. But on the third day came Jesus, and he resurrected me from that place, and he lifted me up. And I remember seeing my own face over the world, looking down at the world, and my face had changed. It was old and ancient, and it had the scars of wisdom etched into it. And I was just so joyous then, and I knew that whatever it was that dragon was something that humankind had always dealt with, and that they somehow had known that their only protection from it was to have lived like a perfect life. This is like a mind prison, so I was like, this is like Lucifer, you know what I mean? This was Lucifer. And it was like, okay, so like, if you could imagine like the Dark Souls game, I saw that game on the shelf. I had an Xbox One at the time, and I was just, oh God, no, not again. Something like that, okay? And so I knew that like all through history that men had known that that's what was going to, that that's what they were trying to escape from. And that they had known somehow that they had their only safety from Lucifer would be to have lived like a perfect life. Because if you had lived a perfect life, then there wouldn't have been any demons. You wouldn't have had any joy, but at least maybe you could have moved. At least maybe you could have moved, or you could have just existed in that place of eternity without the horrors from your life. And then later, it was several months later, the dragon approached me again and reared back to breathe fire on me. And I knew, and I braced myself. I knew what was coming, And this was a time when I was a scribe in the Lord's court. And I had the angels' glory and joy around me. But Jesus stepped in directly and just lifted his hand, and it blocked the dragon fire. And I wasn't hit again. And after that, I saw him take and hurl Satan into a mountain. He was buried beneath the pit of a mountain, in a cave, and it was like red lava around, and he was chained to the wall. You know, it was just, I mean, like, say, a lava bubble inside the middle of the earth or something. And he looked like a man then, and he was laughing. That's what I saw. And the time when I was a scribe for the Lord's court, and I witnessed something else that was just so terrifying, but I recorded that on my Facebook, you know, and I was so shaken by that I couldn't even write. I was too afraid to even write down what had happened, and I had to pray to God to help me. And Jesus appeared in my room, and he goes, and I said, God, please, I mean, Jesus, please hold, you know, guide my hand to write, because he wanted me to write what had occurred. And so then the fear subsided, and I was able to, and he held my hand and helped me to type out exactly what I had seen, which was the fall of Satan's kingdom, the fall of Satan as the king. And this was also the time that I saw God himself write a decree and reveal it to me, but tell me not to reveal what it was that he wrote. And those events occurred just before we were going to Santa Cruz in, I would say, November of 2016.